Welcome to my latest 2023 NFL preview. Today I'm breaking down the Arizona Cardinals, and here's how my previews work. I start off with 3 things I like about the Arizona Cardinals, followed by 3 things I don't like. Then we'll look over the Cardinals schedule, and at the end, I look at the yearly win total odds, and I reveal if I'm putting the action down on the Cardinals. Now let's start off with the first thing I like about the Arizona Cardinals. First thing I like about the Arizona Cardinals is Kyler Murray. Originally, when he tore his ACL, reports came out that he wouldn't return till November, or he might even miss the entire 2023 season. There are stories out now that Kyler Murray actually expects to start week 1 of the 2023 season. No matter when he starts, he is Arizona's franchise quarterback, and you need one to win in the NFL. If I am Arizona, I don't rush Murray back until he's 100% and ready to play. When he is ready to play, build around him at that time. The second thing I like about the Arizona Cardinals is the studs that they have on defense. Xavier Collins was one of my draft crushes, and he had an excellent rookie season. It got lost in the shuffle with a 4-win 2022, but Collins recorded a pick 6, 2 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, and 100 tackles total. This offseason, Gannon took Kazir White from the Eagles defense, and as a Chiefs fan, I can tell you I was overjoyed when Kazir White was not re-signed by the Chargers in 2022. White was a huge reason Philly went to the Super Bowl last year, and he's an awesome 3-down linebacker to pair with Collins. And with this move, you finally allow Isaiah Simmons to play his natural position as safety. It's not really the same thing, but when Arizona drafted Hassan Reddick a couple years ago and moved him around, he was called a bust. When he finally lined up in his right position, he was exceptional, recorded 12.5 sacks in only 11 starts. I think the same thing will happen with Simmons. This was a safety at Clemson, and it made no sense to me when they switched him to an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. Last year, they moved him to inside linebacker, and he did play better, but he clearly looks more comfortable at space. With 2 studs at linebacker, the Simmons experiment could be a good one, especially when you pair him with one of my favorite players in the NFL, Budda Baker. Even though he requested to trade this offseason, he is one of the best players in the NFL, not just safeties, but one of the best players. And while he is in Arizona, they do have an elite player in the secondary to pair with Simmons. The final thing I like about the Arizona Cardinals is the extra draft capital. Last year, Kansas City traded for Kadarius Toney before the trade deadline, and Toney ended up making several plays against Gannon's defense in a Super Bowl victory. Both Minnesota and Baltimore made trades and ended up signing Hawkinson and Roquan Smith to long-term deals this offseason. Remember, the Cardinals hold the Texans' 1st and 3rd, plus Tennessee's 3rd, and a 5th-round pick from Philly. As of right now, Arizona has 10 picks in the 2024 draft, and that's even before the comp selections come out. The Cardinals are in excellent position to add a player or 2 before the trade deadline, and if they're hovering around 500, don't be surprised if the Cardinals make multiple additions. To recap the 3 things I like about the Cardinals, I like Kyler Murray. You have your franchise quarterback. You have a bunch of defensive studs, and with the extra draft capital, you are in position either to improve your team this offseason or midseason. Now, before I start with the 3 things I don't like about the Cardinals, smash that like button. And if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. This channel is scientifically proven to make all your wildest dreams come true. Now let's start with the first thing I don't like about the Cardinals. The first thing is it feels like Arizona is tanking. If it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, it's usually a duck. Now, I do not believe NFL teams tank, and a couple years ago Miami had the tank for Tua campaign, and right after Miami drafted Tua, the Chargers drafted Justin Herbert. There's no guarantee the player drafted first is even going to be better, and I do not believe Arizona is intentionally tanking, but things feel that way. Last year, it seemed like the Bears were going to be in for a long year, and they ended up with the number 1 pick in the draft. In 2023, Arizona has the same feeling that the Bears did in the 2022 offseason. Second thing I don't like is that Arizona plays in the very tough NFC West. San Francisco and Seattle made the playoffs last year, and the Rams won the Super Bowl just 2 years ago. McVay and Carroll are Super Bowl winning future Hall of Fame coaches, and Kyle Shanahan is widely considered one of the best football minds in the NFL. A first-time head coach combined with a first-time general manager is difficult in any situation, but being in the tough NFC West is going to be exceptionally challenging. Third thing I don't like about Arizona is their lack of a pass rush. Last year, Arizona only had 36 sacks, which was almost half of Philly's 70 last year, and out of those 36 sacks, J.J. Watt with 12.5, their leading sackers, retired, and the team's second leading sacker, Zach Allen, with 5.5 are both gone. Now, they did draft B.J. Ojulari, and last year's third-round picks, Myjai Sanders and Cameron Thomas, should help, but a team with a weak pass rush losing half its sacks from last year is something Gannon will need to address quickly. To recap the 3 things I don't like about the Cardinals, first off, it feels like they are tanking. It's a bad feeling going into 2023. Second is a tough NFC West, and their third is lack of a pass rush. Now, let's break down the Cardinals schedule. First thing that stood out to me was the Cardinals play their old divisional rivals the first 3 weeks of the year. For a long time, Arizona was in the NFC East, not the West, so playing Washington, New York, and Dallas made me smile. Second thing I noticed is that weeks 4, 6, and 7, the Cardinals play all 3 of their divisional rivals on the road. The good news is that you play them late in the year at home, which could be a massive advantage. Week 1 against Washington is a winnable road game, and you do play 3 out of your next 4 opponents at home, but those 3 home games are going to be tough. All 3 of those games are against playoff teams from 2022. In my opinion, the key to the season is your record after week 7. You play 3 divisional games on the road plus 3 playoff opponents from 2022. Realistically, you could be 1-6 or even 0-7. However, if you beat Washington week 1 and you win just one of those divisional games, you could possibly be 3-4. Why is that important? It's important because NFL deadline is Halloween or right after week 8. If you can get to 3-4, even if you lose to Baltimore at home, by the time you play the Rams at home with a win, you could be looking at 6-6 before you travel to Pittsburgh. If you can go into the bye week at 6-7, you still have a good chance to make the playoffs. This is a team I firmly believe will get better as the season goes on, so a late season bye could mean a possible playoff push. For the final 4 games of the season, Chicago on the road is a winnable game, and you also play a team that a large part of your coaching staff came from in 2022 when you played Philly week 17 before you end the season hosting Seattle at home. Again, the first 7 weeks of the season are going to be key. I think a slow start could kill this team, but if you can hover around 500 until the trade deadline with the extra draft picks you have, you might be able to pick up a player or 2 and make a playoff push. Now, let's take a look at the yearly win total odds. First off, if you don't understand yearly win total odds or how to bet them, check out this tutorial video I created. Now, the Cardinals opened up at 5.5 wins, and a lot of people bet heavily on the under. Universally, it's 4.5, and I think it's going to stay there. Now, if Kyler Murray starts week 1, I would probably take over, and right now DraftKings has even money on over 4.5 wins for the Cardinals. With Murray's uncertainty and with no idea how Gannon will do as a head coach, really makes me hesitate to take the over, even with a low number like 4.5. My play would be to take the over though. 5 such a low number, and if Murray starts day 1, I feel very confident that the Cardinals will get the 5 wins, but I don't bet on uncertain situations, and despite how a large part of the betting community loved the under for the Cardinals, I'm not really convinced. Now, in case you missed it, check out my previews of the Texans and the Bears, and tomorrow I do the Indianapolis Colts, so I will see you tomorrow.